Hello, Miss Madison.
All right, how are you?
Good. How are you today?
I'm good.
We're excited to kick this off again. I don't think I said where we're going today. If you want to tell us where we're going, a little bit about yourself, what university you're representing, all that good stuff, just take us on the map.
Yeah, so hey y'all, my name is Madison Breeding and I am a senior at Texas A&M University. I'm studying international politics and diplomacy and I have a minor in Spanish. I studied abroad with AIFS in spring 2020 in Buenos Aires, Argentina. And I loved it. It was super great.
Awesome. Spring 2020, the elephant in all rooms. What happened in spring 2020, Madison? Can you tell us?
Yeah, when I say that semester, I always get that question. So I did a full semester term and I also did an early start Spanish class. So I left, it's almost been about a year since I left. And I was there for about 6 weeks in person. And then after that, unfortunately, I was recalled back to the US. My semester moved completely online, but I was still able to study with the University of Belgrano and complete all of my classes with my Argentinian teachers and students from all over the US, all over Europe and other places. So I still got kind of the virtual study abroad experience.
Yeah, absolutely. In 6 weeks, that's a pretty decent amount of time to be in one place. By the end of the 6 weeks, and we'll delve a little bit deeper into this, but did you feel like you were acclimated and this felt like your home and somewhat?
I would say so. I feel like really that week leading up to getting sent away, I had finally really felt like I was acclimated, that I was like in the culture. I had picked up, there's a different form of Spanish they use there, vos instead of tú. And I had like picked that up. I knew it, and I was like making all these new friends. And so it was a little bit heartbreaking finally, like I had been acclimated and then getting sent back to the US. But it was really great because I still stayed in touch with so many people that I met that went through that same experience with me. So it was really great.
You're bonded for life. So when you were choosing a country, a location to study abroad, was it just 100% Argentina? Was the only one on the brain, or were you kind of mulling over other options? And what ultimately made you choose Argentina?
I knew while I was researching study abroad that I had wanted to go during spring 2020 and that I wanted to go somewhere in Latin America. But I really didn't have Argentina or anywhere in mind. I knew I probably didn't want to do somewhere like Mexico because I had been before, and so I really wanted to choose another country with a different accent and a different culture. And then I had actually learned more about AIFS at a study abroad fair, and I was like, I love this company. I love what they include and that the flights are included and the food. And so from there, I did some more research on like the different locations that AIFS has in Latin America.
So you studied at University of Belgrano in Buenos Aires. Can you tell us a little bit about what courses you took? Did you have a favorite class? Did you have a favorite professor? Did you have a class that was super challenging, but you appreciated all the more? Like, just tell us a little bit about what that schedule looked like.
Yeah, so like I said before, I was able to take the intensive Spanish class. And so I had one professor who would teach me for 5 hours a day, 5 days a week. And it was a really good refresher on a lot of Spanish grammar. And it really got me used to the Argentinian accent. So that was really nice. And I did get to go to in-person classes at the regular university. I would say they are super different from classes here. The professors are a lot more laid back. Class would start at like 10, but they wouldn't show up till 10:15, which was nice. It was a good break. And I definitely took like a mixture of classes about culture and then classes about politics. But one of my favorites was one on US Latin American relations. My professor was this like cute old man, and he would come on and we'd be on Zoom, and he'd be like drinking his mate and just talking, and he was super passionate. But I also feel like he gave me the opportunity to learn a lot more about US Latin American relations from a different perspective, which I feel like has made me a better global citizen because I can now look at these different political happenings and kind of see like how people in Argentina view that and how people in Chile and other countries in Latin America view our policy. I think great for my educational and professional development.
Absolutely. Do you still stay in touch with those professors, classmates, friends you've made? Do you guys kind of compare your ideas still to this day about what's presently happening?
I have actually added a few of my professors on LinkedIn. I'm not in contact with them as much anymore,
Sure.
but definitely with my friends, because there were about 40 or so international students at the University of Belgrano who all took that Spanish intensive. And so we got really close and we'd all see each other. We all kind of went through that about being there for 6 weeks and then getting taken out of the country. And so I still talk to two of my really close friends. They have been they're like my sisters for life now. I love them, and I still keep up with people that I was taking classes with, kind of seeing where they're going, talking about how our time in Argentina has impacted how we view the US now. But I think it's really great that we've created this bond.
Some of these international friends that you made, where were some of these classmates originally from?
We had quite a few people from Norway, Germany, France. It was a lot of Northern and Western Europe.
Right.
But it was also really great to see how their education and also Argentinian education all came together for us to work on group projects, especially in my economy class, seeing how they view it versus the other students in the US. It was a really good collaborative experience.
All the better you get to have this list of friends you can go see and can go visit. Very cool. So we've talked a lot about friendships. Can you tell me a little bit about your housing? Did you have a roommate? Were you in a homestay, student apartment, student residence? What housing does Argentina offer? What's the resident staff like? Just tell us a little bit about what that setting might be.
So I chose to do a homestay mainly because I really, really wanted to get involved with the culture and learn the language. I was I want people to be speaking Spanish to me 24/7, and so I felt like that was my best option. I lived with a host mom, and then she had two sons. One of them was 18 and one of them was 24. I didn't spend a ton of time with them, but I'd see them. And I was super, super lucky. This doesn't happen to everyone, but she had another room that was used for another girl from AIFS, my friend Gabby. So we were Gabby and I were tight. We spent all the time together. And then in that same apartment building, we had a woman who lived upstairs who also was housing a girl from AIFS. And so it was a big extended family, my host mom and the one upstairs. We would all hang out, and then her sons and the other one's sons, we'd all eat dinner and see each other. And then Gabby and then Sam, the other girl that lived upstairs, we would all walk to the university, which is about 20 minutes away. So it was I had this huge support system. They're built into my experience. But I do know some other people chose to live in apartments. They don't offer dorms like they do on some other AIFS programs, but the apartments were in another neighborhood super close to Belgrano, Palermo. They were I don't know, a 20-minute bus ride away. So it was still super close, a really great location, and really easy to walk around. And then they had communal laundry. So it was nice, if you want your own space, you can choose to go to the apartments. Because if you do live with a family, you still have to abide by the rules. Which my host, she was great. I loved her, but you still have to respect their space. So
absolutely, you're a guest in their home. You're representing AIFS. You're representing the U.S. in general and in the collegiate age. So yeah, definitely all things to be aware of. Coming back home, do you see a lot of similarities between the household you were in Argentina versus that of your own family? What are those nuances between your homestay and your home?
I'm from Texas, and so there's that southern culture of hospitality, and my parents, they're not super old, but they are a little bit older when they had me, and one of the biggest things is that older people in the South love to eat dinner at 5 p.m. every single day, and so I was very, very used to that. And in Argentina, my host family would eat very, very late. I know that's pretty similar in a lot of Latin America. Also in a lot of European locations too. So getting used to that was kind of difficult. And then I would say my host mom, she was, like a mom. She was very motherly. She had sons who were close to my age. And so she even reminded me of my mom. She would always tell me, because I'm a pale little blonde girl, she's use sunscreen, you need sunscreen, just like my mom. So similarities, these people are there to be with you, but definitely a lot more freedom. She would give me my actual parents, and the meal times were very, very different.
Yes, they're there to house you and to feed you, but also you do kind of become an integral part of the family in the sense of they're looking out for your well-being too, not just the things that are provided under the list of inclusions for the homestays. And I think you said about 20 minutes from campus, and you typically would walk to campus from the homestay?
Oh yeah, it was a 20-minute walk. We were super, super close, and I met some of the other girls and their host families, and they were all within 20 to 30 minutes of walking distance. There was public transportation, but we really didn't need it to get to the university.
Sure.
So I think all of the like AIFS locations for housing were super, super convenient for us. I knew students that lived in neighborhoods that were like 40 minutes to an hour away. And so for AIFS, we were like very close.
Yeah, absolutely. We try to keep the commute within a 20 to 30 minute commute, whether that's going to be public transportation, walking. I think it's actually really beneficial if it's pedestrian, you know, if you're able to walk to class. I just saw a few questions pop in. I don't know if they're questions or comments. Can't even reiterate enough how great that it is AIFS has so much included in their packages. Yeah, guys, just as a reiteration, tuition, meals, your housing, all of your cultural, social activities. There might be a few excursions that are additional to your fees, but we require you to participate in those. All of your resident director support, all of your campus support.
For me, like a few meals I'd pay for on my own, but
Sure.
a lot of like personal choice. I know in Argentina,
Mhm.
I paid for my own laundry. I'm not
Okay.
sure if it's the same at every location, but there were like laundromats everywhere. Most people don't have a washer and dryer in their apartment. So if you live with a homestay, do bring something you can take your laundry to the laundromat in.
And then someone else said, a homestay sounds so cool. I wish I could have done that during my study abroad. Nadia Lane also said, walks to campus are the best and great way to learn the city. Yeah, and just great exercise. I don't know, did you have like a local gym that you went to or access to anything like that?
So I didn't go to the local gym, but there were a lot around. This one like group of friends that, you know, I knew they would go to CrossFit like every day. There's so many different gyms and stuff, but for me, I would walk so much.
Yeah.
I didn't really like the buses. I liked the subway system and like the train system, but I love walking, and so I would walk up to 10 miles a day. I would do some like yoga and stuff in my room. But if you want to work out like with weights, with machines, there's access.
Okay. Any weekend trips that you took on your own, excursions through AIFS? Is there one that stood out to you, one that you enjoyed the most? Tell us a little bit about what those excursions and weekends looked like.
They offer this really cool, it's called like a gaucho weekend, which like the gauchos are like the cowboys of Argentina. And you go to this like farm and you eat like really awesome food and see horses. And I really wanted to do that. And I'm sure this will probably still be offered in the future, you know.
I think that one does remain as part of our Buenos Aires program, so yes.
I was able to take like a short 4 or 5 day trip to 𝗟𝗧𝗦𝗧 Falls.
Okay.
AIFS also offers that, but I ended up going with some friends who were on other programs, and we spent about 4 days there. It's like the border of Argentina and Brazil and Paraguay, where these like beautiful, beautiful falls. Like I cannot stress how amazing they are. They're better than Niagara.
I've heard they're like Niagara Falls on steroids is like what people have described them as. Yeah.
And there's so much wildlife. And I got to go in this boat and literally like drive up to the bottom of a waterfall. It was beautiful.
Speaking of journeys, there's always the element of packing. What did you pack? Were there things that you wish you hadn't packed, things you wish you had packed, you know, per your experience in Buenos Aires?
I'm going to be honest, like the packing thing stressed me out so much. I do know, you know, I stayed for a whole semester, so I needed to have a wardrobe that would kind of last me. It was their fall, so like from their summer into their fall. But I brought about 2 weeks worth of laundry. I could usually go like 2 weeks without getting it done. And then a few other like transitional pieces. And then I bought packing cubes as well. Like really get those packing cubes, because they help a lot. And then I had a little closet in my host mom's house and like put them in my drawers, and they were super nice. But I was so stressed about packing. I do know if you live in a homestay there that your towels and bedding are included, so you don't have to worry about that.
Did you bring home a lot of additional clothing, souvenirs, what have you?
Yeah, I did. They have like a really good, like, I guess, shoe fashion. They're like really into platforms there. And so I bought some shoes. They were so cute. I love them so much. And I bought a few extra like pieces. I still had enough room in my suitcase. I brought home some like last minute stuff for my family and my friends, and was able to fit that. But I would say like space out your souvenirs. Don't buy things that you know you can't fit in your suitcase at all. You know, try and buy like smaller things. Like I bought like prints that were pretty easy, just like shove in my backpack and stuff.
We've talked so much about all of your experiences, classes, friendships, but if you can tell us just a little bit about like culture within Buenos Aires. I know you said like the dialect, the accent is different than that of maybe Mexico or parts of Spain. If you can kind of just set the scene for us of what a day in the city would look like in Buenos Aires.
Yeah. So it is a really huge city. It's the capital of Argentina. It's really been influenced by a lot of European immigration. It's called the Paris of the South, and it's called that for a reason, because parts of it really do look like Paris. There's also like parts of it that are like German inspired. There's like a Chinatown, but then it still has a lot of that Latin American, very like lively and colorful feel. So I think it kind of compares the best of both worlds. I do know a lot of people, when they think of Latin America, probably have a stereotypical view. Argentina is not Mexico. It's very, very different from that. So I think the city is like huge. It's diverse. There's all sorts of food, all sorts of people there. And so you get a lot of that like European architectural and like cultural feel, but then you also mix it with a lot of the hospitality and the welcomeness of Latin America and the music, food. So it was like a really, really beautiful city. I loved it. It's very unique. I've never been anywhere like it.
You mentioned food. We have to go there because we have to. What were some of your favorite dishes? What were some dishes that you learned how to make?
Yeah, I absolutely love the empanadas. They are so good. There's all sorts of different ways to make empanadas, but I really do think the Argentinian way is probably the best way. They are so good. It's just like bread and meat. It's really, really good. I tried to make them actually with my mom when I came back to the US. And then there's also like really big ranching industry down there. So there's a lot of really good meat if you are into that. Oh, there's a lot of Italian food. There was a ton of Italian immigration in Argentina. So the Italian food is like amazing. It is so, so good. Very authentic. You could find all sorts of pastas, all sorts of sauces.
And you said, you know, there's a lot of Italian immigration, French influence. I think you said there's a Chinatown. So there's something for everybody's palate. If you were, say, a vegetarian or a vegan, are you either of those things?
I actually don't eat red meat, and I try to eat more plant-based, but I had a friend who was a pretty strict vegetarian, and she was able to find all sorts of restaurants. There's vegetarian empanadas. She found like a vegetarian buffet super close to the University of Belgrano. So if you want to follow veganism or vegetarianism, you can. You do live with a host family. You would probably need to, I guess, say what that is, because I would either eat meatless or eat like a little bit of beef, because it's what they gave me.
As long as we know, you know, if it's somewhat easy to navigate. That's a question we get from students pretty often is, you know, am I going to be able to accommodate my vegetarian, my vegan diet? But the answer for Argentina, as we know, is yes. So arriving to Argentina, this is your first time in South America, Latin America. Did you have any culture shock? Did you have that moment of, okay, Dorothy, we're not in Kansas anymore, like that sticks out to you, that stays with you?
I would say it wasn't any sort of culture shock that I was incapable of dealing with, as I did have a really good support system. But the first week, it really hit me that I did not know Spanish how I thought I knew it. You know, I had technically completed all of the Spanish grammar at Texas A&M, like technically, but you get there and you start trying to communicate with people and use ways of speaking that you've been taught but aren't necessarily how real people talk. And so that was really hard for me because I felt very, like, I guess, stunted and trapped in how I could communicate with others. But the good thing is I feel like the Argentinian people are very friendly and they want to communicate with you and get to know you. And they don't immediately start speaking English. I know in some countries, I know in like France, like they'll immediately start speaking English to you. But here, like, they would try, my host mom or even just strangers would like try and work through it with me so that I could improve my language skills and then do that. And then with reverse culture shock, I feel like that hit a lot later because I was back in the US, but I was still taking classes with Argentinian professors and I was still communicating with a lot of friends. But when I started this fall semester, 2020, and coming back to Texas A&M, and that like really go, like deadlines, strictness, it was overwhelming. Like, I'll be honest, I wasn't used to that. It was a bit annoying because I was like, wow, like I'm really back here. And they want me to like get everything in on time. They're so strict about grades. So I was able to just kind of, I guess, use what I learned there, calm myself down, get more used to it. I feel like I've grown through the culture shock.
Absolutely. Oh, and you'll kind of carry that with you, of that moment of like, all right, I just have to give this time for every other location you travel thereafter. You kind of just know you have to like be a little bit more patient when it's going to come to you in a new place. So you said you didn't really kind of have that reverse culture shock until fall 2020, when you're back at campus, you're back with people that haven't studied abroad. How do you manage that, right? Are there pep talks you have to give yourself to reacclimate? Is it just surrounding yourself with people who have studied abroad? Maybe go visit the study abroad advisors for some armchair therapy. How do you cope with the reacclimation process to your home university?
Well, one really great way was joining this program, the ambassador program. Almost half of our current ambassadors all went through something similar to me during spring 2020. So I know I'm not alone in that. And I really get professional development from AIFS people who help give me the tools to work through that. And then I've mentioned them before, I'm going to mention them again, Gabby and Alice and a few other people that I still talk with. I've just been a really great way for me to like unpack and unload what I'm saying, because I don't necessarily want to text my hometown friends all the time and be like, oh my gosh, here's what I did in Argentina, blah, blah, blah. Having that support system of friends that I studied abroad with that were there, that saw me, that went through the same thing. And I could be like, oh my gosh, like, do you remember this? Like the other day, Alice texted me and was like, oh, I was thinking about this restaurant we went to in Buenos Aires. And I was like, yes, like I loved that. And so staying in touch with those people, I think, is a really great way for me to, like, in a healthy way, talk about my experience without every single day being to my parents, like, I miss Argentina. And, like,
right. You did kind of touch on this. We've talked a lot about your role as an alumni ambassador, and I'm going to let you put it into your own words, what your role is as an alumni ambassador. But if you can add to that response, you know, what's your favorite part about it, and what are those magic words that you use to allow students to feel comfortable to pursue this, to encourage them to move forward with the process?
I would say I'm an advocate for study abroad who has had recent personal experience with this, and so I do a lot of outreach with people. I've talked one-on-one, just answering little questions about like when our scholarships due. Which is great, and I'm here for that. But then also answering broader questions. A girl talked to me and is like, what's the city like? I want to study abroad at University of Belgrano, and so I kind of gave her a recap about day to day, and then I get to use a lot of my experience and put this into programming that we put on. I did like a Halloween themed Zoom thing with some other ambassadors, like the spookiest thing about homestays, which was super fun. And also reaching out to a lot of underrepresented groups in study abroad. And there's so many more people that we want to experience this, that can experience this.
Yeah, one thing I will say about you guys and your role as an alumni ambassador, even if it's not somebody who is at your university, like we have this whole team of people that you can reach out to, a variety of different experiences, different racial backgrounds, different socioeconomics, different majors, different locations of study. I mean, all of that is there for you guys to use as a tool. Reach out if you have any questions. When you are speaking to students, do you have kind of an elevator speech, if you will, or one thing that you say to every particular student that you're talking to?
My study abroad experience has allowed me to grow in ways that a standard education in the United States never would have allowed me to, just because I was open to so much diversity, so many new people, new ways of thinking. And I truly believe that to become a better global citizen and to better understand yourself and others, that you need to go out and travel. And that this time is the best time to get out and go there and do it. Because if you don't go now, then when?
So you did talk about all the different ways in which you grew, but in terms of your academic study, right? So your major, your minor, how are you going to put this experience towards use with that in particular? We talked a lot about personal growth and whatnot, but academically and professionally, how do you think that's going to evolve for you?
So just to reiterate, I am on an international studies degree with a track in politics and diplomacy and a Spanish minor. So for me, a study abroad was part of my degree. I needed it to be able to graduate.
Excellent.
And so I was able to complete a lot of my Spanish minor, not all of it, but the University of Belgrano offered a few classes that were taught completely in Spanish, which was so great. I thought I wouldn't be able to do it, but I was able to do it. And then I took a few political science and economics classes that were in English. I wanted to learn those in English just so I could really make sure I knew the information. But I think being able to learn from these Argentinian teachers about the economy, about US Latin American relations and political and social change has forever changed my perspective for the better. I think it's allowed me to just understand how people work together, how we view others, what our impact is on others. You know, if you take classes that are within your degree from other people and you're in an international setting where I had classmates, like I said, from Europe, from other parts of the United States, it opened up really authentic discussions, things that I don't get in my pretty homogenous education here in Texas. And so this was a really, really great professional and educational leap for me.
There's also this kind of stigma that, you know, female travelers or female expats are kind of up against like some safety, like stigma, what have you. So did you feel as a female traveler, expat, and going into this experience alone, not going with anybody from your university, did you feel like Argentina and Buenos Aires in specific was a safe location? How did you navigate that as a female? Just kind of give us, let's talk about it.
Just like walking on the streets, doing my day-to-day thing, I felt safe. Women there are, you know, respected. It's not, you know, some people are like, oh, they're going to be so sexist there. It, you know, it's a country that is developed, that is, I guess, views women in a respectful way. I did have my support system. I had a lot of other women that I would stay with. We would walk together. We would check up on each other. You know, never let a girl go home alone. But I would like
dangers you would face here in the U.S., things we see here on the news in the U.S. all the time.
Yeah, it's honestly any danger you would face in really any other big city. As a woman, I felt like I was prepared, that I was told of what I needed to do to protect myself, and that I had a good support system, and I knew how to keep myself out of danger.
AIFS, we're here to prepare you in every and any way we can. You have your resident director and support staff to help you once you're on site. And of course, yeah, you have all the other AIFS participants. We are going to do what we call a speed round, lightning round. Basically, I'm just going to give you a category or a word, and I just want you to just kind of say the first word that comes to your mind in your relation to your experience in Buenos Aires. So first one, my favorite, I think I know your answer, food.
Delicious.
Okay, excellent. And your favorite food, you would say empanada?
Definitely empanadas.
Yeah, likewise. Transportation.
Manageable.
I did have a question just to come back to. So you said you really liked the train system over the buses. Trains underground, or they are above ground so you can kind of see everything at a...
Yeah, it was a subway. I meant to say that. It's the 𝗟𝗘𝗧, and it is a lot more easy to navigate. It like tells you where your stop is. It's very clearly marked. The buses, they were more difficult. That's why I'd say like public transportation as a whole is manageable, but to me the buses were kind of difficult to navigate, and so you probably should download some apps if you like want to know where your stop is and what line to get on.
Yeah. Also, guys, and if you're in a homestay and you're not sure how to navigate your route from your homestay to the university, resident director, even if you're not in a student apartment or a dormitory, which there isn't one in Argentina, but just in general, your residence director and support staff can always walk you through what that route is supposed to look like and the easiest route to take. Very good. I think you mentioned how you feel about these before, but locals.
Lively.
Ooh, these are really good adjectives. I like that. Did you have one experience with a local that kind of stands out to you amongst the rest of interactions that you had?
Yeah, I met some friends on a night out, and he was wearing glitter on his face, and so I was like, ¿Cómo se dice glitter in Spanish? And he told me, and then the next day he like took us on a tour and taught us how to like traditionally drink mate. And just like that friend group, I actually still talk to a few of them. They were so sweet. They spoke really good English, which was great, but they taught me a lot, and they were just so hospitable and just so nice, and I was really, really glad I met them.
Language.
Musical. The way
Musical.
it's very influenced by Italian, this type of Spanish, so the way they speak It's very like up and down. A lot of
Dynamic.
yeah, there's like a way to speak, and they pronounce things a lot differently. My roommate, she's Honduran, and she hears Argentinians speak, and she's like, "What?" I don't know, but it's a very beautiful way of speaking.
Favorite city, whether that's the one you studied in, whether that's one that you traveled to, whatever you feel.
If it's all over, I would say Prague. I've been to Prague,
Yeah.
and I loved it. That was really beautiful, and I know AIFS offers Prague opportunities.
Landmarks, natural or like historical within the city, whatever floats your boat.
Oh yeah, 𝗟𝗧𝗦, I guess that's a natural landmark. That is
The natural landmark for sure. Architecture.
inspired, I guess you could say.
Yeah, because you said it's like Parisian looking.
Yeah, well, certain parts are more Parisian, certain parts are more, typically Latin American, like Spanish, and then like German. It's a lot. There's a lot of influences from different cultures.
And then this one's tough, but one word to describe your entire semester abroad.
Life-changing.
Do you think, given the chance, you'd go back to Argentina, short-term, long-term?
I want to, just because I feel like I didn't get to experience everything I wanted. And I still have friends there. I didn't mention this, but I did like a language exchange through Zoom. So I would like talk like twice a week with two students at the University of Belgrano. And like I want to meet them. I'd love to go back.
Very cool. Any closing words of advice, anything you want to share with us that we didn't really get to cover, anything and all that you can think of?
I would say like just do it, because the only thing holding you back, from your goals is yourself. If it's a financial reason you don't want to go, there are so many opportunities that AIFS or your university or third parties offer. If you're nervous, for me, I was very nervous about going. I was like, I don't know if I can do this, but I could do it. And if I can do it, then like you can do it. There are so many things out there. It's accessible.
Thanks for being with us today, Madison. Hopefully we'll see you again very, very soon. Now, is the proper way to say goodbye or see you later for Argentinians, is that just adios, or is it something else?
No, they actually say ciao, which
Ciao.
I know is hello in Italian, but in Argentina, it's only goodbye. So you say like,
very
ciao.
Cool. All right. Well then, Madison, we will say ciao, and we will hopefully see you very soon.
All right, ciao.
Thank you. Bye.